So if you're going to be in sales, one of the first things that you need to understand with no matter what offer you're on is knowing the journey. So know the journey of the prospect. What are they taking along the way? Whether you're setting, whether you're closing, whether you're part of the fulfillment team, or even in marketing, you need to know their entire timeline here. So what you need to understand is, what's the lead generation mechanism? What platforms are we using? How are we getting their attention? What are we presenting as an offer up front? Is it book a call? Is it a lead magnet? Is it a webinar? You have to understand, what is the lead generation mechanism? Where are these leads coming from? People who are now becoming leads to turning into prospects. You also need to understand your offer inside and out. Are there different tiers? What's the ecosystem look like? Is it a subscription? Is it reoccurring? Is it one-time payment? What is the duration of what they're paying for? You need to understand what the fulfillment is, what the end results are going to look like. You need to have a thorough understanding of the offer. Then once you have the lead generation mechanism and the offer understood, that's when leads turn into prospects, because we have to understand who is saying, I'm interested. Who's raising their hand and saying, I'm interested in your product or service. Then we have to look at filtration and qualification. So if there's an application on the front end, how are we filtering people through? What are the qualifications? What is the scheduling mechanism? How are people booking calls to speak with us? How are they looking at more information? What steps do they need to take? Is it very cumbersome? Is it very easy? Is there a path of least resistance? Do we make it hard for them to schedule? Then we have to look at the call process. Are you running a 2-step, a 3-step, a 10-step, a 1-step, whatever it might be? Understand what your call process is and what the expectations are for each and every call. Then once we understand that and when they're set up for success, obviously we have to execute on the calls, but then we look at closing and enrollment. So when we take payment, how are we taking payment? How are we making sure that the prospect feels like they've made a really good decision and they're now becoming a client, so that we can then move on to onboarding? Onboarding is your handoff to fulfillment. So what does that process look like? Are you responsible for onboarding? Is there someone on the inside of the fulfillment team that takes over onboarding for you? You have to know that inside and out. And then on the back end, once you have closed somebody and they have been successfully onboarded, we then look at LTV, lifetime value. How long do people typically stay in the program? How much are they valued once they have paid? Can we set up for referrals? We can go over an entire training on referrals. You'll see that section coming up later. And then what is the success of the prospect? So not only what's the success of the program, of all of the prospects, but the clients at this point, but what are your clients' successes looking like? Are you checking in with them? What does your follow-up process look like? How are you getting great testimonials, not only of the process that they have been through and the company that they're working with and the product or service that they're using, but also maybe a testimonial about you and your dedication to excellence as a sales representative, as someone who is service-based and actually cares about the result, because that goes a long way as well to your inner confidence and your conviction, which we talked about earlier, but also you can leverage that in future sales. So again, this is a very generic timeline of their journey, but this is what it might look like for you. You need to map out knowing the journey, whether you're setting, whether you're closing, whether you're on fulfillment, whether you have hands in marketing. How are we getting leads to having them become prospects? Understand the offer, filtration and qualification, scheduling, call process, closing and enrollment, onboarding, your handoff to the fulfillment team, shipping out the product, whatever it might be, lifetime value, referrals, and success. And then we run that loop back again, and we need to stay on top of this. The more that we know about the journey, the better we're going to be as salespeople, because we're going to understand it inside and out and overall be more efficient, which will ultimately lead to you closing more sales.